All right, let's see if we can get this working. 1 2 1 1 2 1 2.
What's up, man?
What's
I can hear you.
up? All right, ladies and gents, I am happy and proud to introduce one of the most avid viewers of the evening and one of the most intellectual supporters of the Charlotte Phoenix. If I'm not mistaken, one of the co-founders himself of the Charlotte Phoenix. We have Pathfinder on the line. What's
Thanks,
up?
man. I
What's
appreciate.
up?
Yeah, yeah. I appreciate you throwing the love to us tonight and just being able to hang out. I just love to watch the team play, so being able to do that is pretty dope.
Hello, hello.
Well, I'll say I had nothing to do with it because it was just Charlotte Phoenix winning, and we have King of the Nerds here. Whom do you guys mind just introing yourself real quick? Just give like a name and like kind of your role with the Charlotte Phoenix.
Yeah, so there's three co-owners of the Charlotte Phoenix. Myself, CJ Collins, and then Josh Richardson, who is Shade, and then there's a third one, and his name is Jeff Brokaw. And so we're all co-owners of really two companies. One is the Charlotte Phoenix, and the other one is CLT Esports. And one is very team-oriented, the Charlotte Phoenix, and the other CLT Esports is very like land and very like, hey, how do we grow esports in the city, and what does it look like from the ground up?
That is super interesting.
Yeah. And
And yeah,
Matt is our biggest fan.
Who, me? I am
Yeah,
the
you
King of the
dude.
Nerds here. Hey, how you doing, guys? Yeah, I'm just a major fan, supporter. I try to help out in any way I can.
sick.
Anyway, so
Matt, are you in
fun.
Charlotte also? Face to
I
safe to
actually,
say.
oh, yeah, about an hour outside.
Okay, not bad, not bad. Well, cool. Well, thanks for hanging out. So Pathfinder. Sorry, what was your name again? Pathfinder to everyone in
CJ.
the
It's the
CJ. Okay,
same
I
as
got you.
CJ, which drove me nuts when I was at PAX because everyone would be like CJ, and they were talking about CJ Link because he's like the man, and I was like, it was a fun weekend though. That's a really cool group of guys that are up
It
there, and I'm
is.
sure you probably know them better than I did. I just got a quick little intro and a little weekend hangout, but I was really impressed with their operation that they kind of ran over there.
Yeah, those are definitely cool people. They're cool. They're good people. And CJ, he's been a busy guy lately, which is pretty cool to see. He's got a lot going on.
He does.
I guess I'm sorry we couldn't link up there. I don't know how we would have
Eh,
known.
yeah, we wouldn't know, dude. I
Yeah,
mean,
but now the radar is there, and next time I was probably a few feet from you. And by the way, Lawler is in the chat.
It
Lawler,
goes to show how.
hey, Lawler, feel free to jump on. We're in my Discord. Feel free to jump on if you feel like it. But Lawler, I went over to the Apex area, and that was the first time I got to see Lawler in a pretty long time. So we hung out a little bit.
was
Obviously,
Lawler the caster
yeah,
on the
dude, Lawler
stage?
was
Yeah, yeah,
casting, man. Yeah,
yeah. Okay. I
yeah,
met him as well then. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Crazy how
So
small of a world there is, though. You guys are in the
it's
same
super
building, you didn't
cool.
even know it.
And then I was able to hang out with Lawler after hours a little bit, which is a lot of fun. If someone could link the Discord in the chat, Lawler, the link to the Discord is also underneath the screen. So if you're watching the stream, the link is underneath the stream. There we go. I think he's getting in here.
Yeah, I figured it out. What up?
What up? Lawler's
Oh,
in the
dude.
house. Lawler, we're just chatting. Charlotte Phoenix just won every match in Ting the Hill, so we're thinking about renaming this whole thing to the Charlotte Show or something. But we're also able to talk with Pathfinder, aka CJ, who is a co-owner of Charlotte Phoenix, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Who is apparently working on Apex at PAX.
Well, shit, you should have said what up.
Yeah, man. I just was working the RTS booth with those guys. So Gary hooked me up with a spot, and I was just hanging out for the weekend. And it was for me, it was just a networking thing, and I had never been to PAX before, so it was cool to see though. And you did a great job with the weekend.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Yeah, so we got a little mini podcast going on, which is fine. We're just chilling. We're not far
Should we
from.
update that title, my dude.
I know, right? Oh yeah. Shouldn't one of my mods do it? Mod,
So,
change the title.
is that me? Am I supposed to do it?
Yes. No,
Mods do things.
no,
Do
don't
your
worry
job.
about it. I'll change the title. Ting of the Hill, week 2. What should we call it? After show. There, just for you, Adam.
Nice.
But yeah,
So proud of you,
so So CJ, just wanted to talk some more about Charlotte Phoenix. We talked a little bit about it in the you were giving us some information in the chat. You're talking about kind of the Rocket League effort and then the city effort. Can you elaborate more on that if you don't mind? I guess like the focus from the team perspective and then the importance of also the focus of the city perspective and how you're kind of tying them together, I guess, without giving anything away. But I feel like a lot of people would love to hear about that because I personally feel like any major city is ripe for something cool to happen.
Yeah. So it's actually really funny. You kind of have put a lot of the pieces together based off of the questions you've asked. So Envy was here in 2016, right?
Yep.
John Brock and Mike Castro,
Mm-hmm.
both owners of the company, and it was evaled at like $10 million at the time, right? And they looked for big money in Charlotte in order to kind of go to the next level to buy the Overwatch franchise and do what they wanted to do in the next 3 years. And nobody in Charlotte would give them money. So they reached out to the Hirsch Group in Dallas, and then they got bought up by those guys, and they're worth about $200 million right now. And that's kind of the story we've been running with for the past year or so now. So we've been courting a lot of investors and talking to people about, hey, you kind of let Envious slip away from you, and they could be in the city, and you could have a CDL franchise and an Overwatch franchise for your city, but you don't, because you kind of let that slip. So we've been capitalizing on that. And then we've also been capitalizing on the fact that, we have a lot of fans in the city that want to see lands and they want to see esports grow from a STEM perspective, from a software development perspective, from, hey, just more events, whether it's Rocket League or League of Legends or Call of Duty or whatever it might be. So we're trying to host more events so that we can get those people out. And we also want to buy teams. We want to be involved in more esports, and obviously that takes money and different things, coming at you to try and do that. But that's kind of our goal and our mission that we're doing right now.
So why do you think it is important for a city-based effort to happen? And do you think it's going to happen more often? Obviously, we see the Pittsburgh Knights, we see the Charlotte Phoenix. What are kind of the big advantages there? And how much more of it do you think we're going to see?
I think it's kind of the future, right? So with us reaching out to the city and being like, hey, this is esports, and hey, we kind of need help. They have been like extremely responsive and super supportive with connecting with sponsors, giving us free venues, helping us connect with the local school districts and the colleges. So like they are totally a resource that you should tap into, and I think everyone should localize. Like if you live in Minnesota or Phoenix, Arizona, or like Atlanta's not a good one, but like these big cities around the country that don't necessarily have like an esports team, should definitely capitalize on that because it just brings a lot more support and it just makes it easier because it's so hard to start up. And those cities are like they know about esports, but they just need somebody to kind of help them walk through the process of what it looks like to engage in the industry. So definitely something that we have capitalized on, and I think others should as well.
I guess my personal follow up to that is a lot of that seems to be stemmed because of that's how traditional sports has done it for so many years.
Mhm.
Is just the collegiate system and everything that's been fundamentally created in our society is you follow through with city, but there's been a lot of ideology from some of the guys that have a very strong opinion towards we're only following those steps because that's what we're so accustomed to, not because it's the right choice.
Yeah.
How do you personally feel about doing something different or unique or something that's going to break the stem of the old guard, the tried and true, no offense, the boomers that are like too resistant to change in the first place? Like esports has shown that it's outgrowing traditional by a lot, and there's nothing really stopping it. So why aren't we doing something different or unique that is more catered to what we're accustomed to rather than the limitation? I know
Yeah.
the foundation's there, right? Like that's I think the main reason. That's where the funding's going to come from, but I feel like we have something to try something different.
Yeah, and I think it's like they're not all like they don't have terrible ideas. Like when I sit down and talk with the city or with the sports folks or whoever, like they have good ideas and there's way to implement them within esports, but like not all of them fit, right? So like there's some good stuff that we have to carry over, but there's also some lessons learned that they know because they've been doing it for so long that it just makes sense to adopt into them. And I think the localization of markets is a really good example of that. And I totally get it, right? Like let's use Envy as an example, right? It's an international brand, right? Like, why would you limit that to a city and
Right.
maybe even a specific spot, right?
Mhm.
But at the same time, like, I think the Dallas Empire can be an international brand within that, right? Like, it's totally bigger than it's just you have your base fans and you spread out from there. So, like, the localization, I totally understand that like people aren't all into it and it doesn't make sense for a lot of reasons, but I think it can work. You just have to play it. And I would say that the Pittsburgh Knights are definitely a couple steps ahead of us, but like they're crushing it from like their investors and their city support. I mean, the Steelers have loved on them so much, and then the local hockey teams have given them so much stuff too, and then all the celebrities from Pittsburgh kind of supporting them. It's just been totally blowing it out of the water for them.
That's
Which is
awesome.
understandable, right? Like you're seeing
Yeah.
the same thing. Like what it seems like in an association is just because you have those corporations, those businesses. I mean, you're looking hopefully that Dallas, like the Cowboys, are going to take in partnership do the same thing. The issues with complications of complexity and like it's interesting to see. It's just I guess more so my opinion on it is the growth, and I know Axel, you and I have talked about this with Kevin quite a bit about how we stick to the suit and tie, tried and true, traditional, because we don't want there to be any excuses whatsoever when the time comes.
Totally,
But now
dude.
that now that we're surpassing that and we're showing like honestly, like we don't need them anymore.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
interesting to see how that growth will continue.
because it's super curious with like there's no doubt traditional sports has found success. There's no doubt that there's a great
Yeah, a
foundation of
little bit.
right. I mean, there's a little success there, and esports could not be in a better place to work with those entities. And what's been really
Mhm.
cool, like that me and Adam have been like seeing unfold around our eye, around us as we've done our esport thing, whatever, is all of these initiatives kind of pop up, and it's like Mark Cuban getting into it. Elon Musk's kids or whatever, and just left and right, seeing different traditional sports entities kind of embrace it and try to figure out what's going on. And especially from a broadcaster perspective, like for me and Adam, like we wanna show poise and class and professionalism, but we also want to have fun, and like there's a reason esports is so awesome. So I'm of the mind that there's a lot you can learn and gather from traditional sports. A lot of people like on the internet and on Twitter and stuff are like, oh, traditional sports are trash. We don't want to be anything like it. Oh, forget the Olympics. Like there's a lot of like elitist like messaging out there, I suppose, where I
Yeah, it
kind of
goes
see
both
it
ways.
like, and I love your perspective on this, CJ, where it's like, you know what? There is infrastructure from these traditional sports. There's financing, there's investment, there's economics, there's local communities, there's whole demographics that you can really tap into that can really help any esports initiative. So rather than being in a situation where you're alienating each other, where it's like taking that and embracing it and building cool things. Do you mind speaking on that a little bit, CJ? I guess
Yeah.
that gets at like
Yeah.
yeah.
I talk to the boomers every day, dude. And I mean, I'm 30, so I'm a little bit older than a
Sick,
lot
dude.
of people. Yeah, and like I say a lot of people, but like the esports industry as a whole, like the players, I would say, are much younger than what I am, and like I'm just trying to give them the opportunity to live their dream that I didn't have when I was 16. That's like my goal. But I would say that my biggest complaint with the boomers right now, and like the way that they keep pushing me into like the NBA 2Ks and the FIFAs and the Maddens, and like those are great games in their own way. Like I think they have a great fan base, and like the regular world sees them as games that are acceptable and they can talk about them a little bit more. But like that's my biggest complaint right now is like those guys are always trying to get me to like make those games bigger, and they're just not big games and they're not good games. And there's a reason that they haven't capitalized on some of those markets.
And
Well,
It's very narrow-minded. I
Yeah.
mean, you base upon what you know, right? And to them, like traditional sports is the
yeah.
most correlative thing. They're like, "Yep, I understand this because I play sports. I like sports. Sports is what I watch." So I understand that basis, and it's gonna take some very forward-thinking people to branch away from that. It really is. You just need the right person.
I
Yeah.
kind of just I give them what they want. So like, okay,
Yeah.
fine, I'll run your NBA 2K event, but I'm also gonna run a League of Legends event next to it, and we'll see who looks like who gets more viewers. Like, what does that look like when you put them next to each other?
Yeah,
It's kind
it's
of
interesting that you're using that to like compete against itself. I know so I've been working with ESPN a lot lately,
Yeah.
And like even internally with them, like the stuff they're trying to produce, like they've still got to go through approval from their higher ups because the higher ups still want to do a very ESPN like red zone type style that they can air on a regular basis, and they want to put that stuff on Twitch, and it's like they don't understand that shows like that historically have always failed.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
every single one just bombs hard because it's just people who are gamers want to watch their shit, and that's it. They want to consume anything and everything, just their stuff. So as long as you give the content in that context, like okay, but if you put on a 24-hour show and you show like FIFA, Madden, this, that, etc., Rocket League, and then Call of Duty, and then whatever, I'm gonna watch my segment for the 30 seconds and I'll never touch it again. Like it's just so even there, like they're still struggling, but you know they're doing the same thing, right? Like they're giving them what they want, but they're gonna pair it with some stuff that'll actually do well, just so they can have the compare and contrast of look what does better. This is why we tried your thing. Let's start moving forward. So kind of got to play both sides too, which is that's the same in anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it too. Like, there are reasons esports competitive video games has found success in whatever capacities over the past however many years, right? There are some things succeed, some things don't, but they're at its core, there are reasons why it's successful. Like some might say grassroots synergies, some might say, involving local sponsors. And then what you've brought up, CJ, is kind of the interests of the traditional sporter or whatever. You mentioned FIFA and all these things. So it's like, how can you find ways to tie together those interests from the traditional sports investor to whatever that grassroots thing is that makes esports so successful and so good? I feel like there could be ways to tie those together, but that's where you have to like be creative and come up with something cool, because a lot of video games can be viable. It might come down to what the community wants, I suppose. So I guess that leads me into a question, CJ, of like, are there ways that you are engaging your local market or like surveying or like trying to figure out the lay of the land? Like, are there steps like that you take, like for a regional or a city-based thing like Charlotte? Are there steps you take there to kind of survey what's going on in your neck of the woods and see what kind of fans are around? And does that play into your strategy for like things that you come up with and trying to engage as many locals as you can around video games?
Yeah, I think this is something we spend a lot of time doing. So last year we ran like 20 different events, everything from Fortnite to PUBG to Apex to Super Smash Brothers, to, every esports title you can imagine. And then we kind of gauged our audiences that we got the biggest pool, and they're pretty static from like every one of them was like a smaller like $250 prize pool, and you just showed up and kind of played. And then we take those and we figure out like what's our biggest market for casual players, and then we stepped up the game, so we ran bigger tournaments with like $1,000 each, and then we figured out who stuck around and what kind of hardcore players showed up with that. So we have a really good idea of like what kind of players exist in our city, and then what it takes to like kind of pull from the outside. And then coming back to your original question of like I think a lot of it is like you have to make sure you can align the interests of the bigger players in your city to be able to support what they want and what you want. So it's like I have to bite the bullet, and Charlotte is like the newest MLS franchise, right? So we're bringing a soccer team to the city, and that's
Cool.
like the big thing. Yeah,
That's super
it,
cool.
Let's go,
it is
dude.
super cool. Yeah, right. So we're gonna have a soccer team now, and it's gonna be like the Panthers, and they're gonna, the same owner of the Panthers bought the soccer team. But how do I connect with those guys? Like I have to find a way to be able to engage that audience. So what do? Like I go and I find a FIFA player and I bring him onto my organization, and I
Yep.
make my organization a little bit more soccer oriented so that I can approach those guys and just and there's those kind of steps on like what does it look like in order to kind of grow and with my city, even though it's like I hate FIFA. I think it's a terrible game. I don't like the scene. I think there's no money to really be made in it. It's really, really challenging to find sponsors, and I think that the competitiveness of the game is kind of lacking, and it's very diverse. So like all those things exist, but at the end of the day, I kind of have to do it to appease who I'm trying to approach,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I guess another question that kind of ties into it: how focused are you on finding local talent? Because I think something that, if you remember Overwatch's first trailer at BlizzCon, it was very much like a city focus. Like, what talent can we find out of each of these cities? And then you see this
Sure.
London Spitfire hire 10 Koreans for their team to win. Nothing wrong, like whatever. But how focused are you as someone who's managing a Charlotte entity? Like, how important is it to like tap into local talent? Because for me, I think, and like at some point that could be pretty cool to like see who are the best players in these cities, and can those players have influence on that city's esports org? So I don't know if we're ready to ask those questions, but are you how much are you looking into something like that of just trying to find local talent, I guess?
Yeah, I think it becomes a question of like how do I get people to Charlotte? I don't think that there's like a lot of locals. I think there's a few that are like professional players, like if you know who Spacely is or John, like they both live in Charlotte and they're professional Call of Duty players, right? So it's like those are easy kind of attacks from my market. But like there's not a ton of like pro League of Legends players, and I would love a professional League of Legends roster. So it's like, how do I do that and how do I go about it? I think it just becomes you have to move people to your city, and not for any other reason except for content. Like I don't think they need to live in your city unless you want to build like a big content train around them, whether it's like daily content where you're doing stupid activities together, or like a documentary story about the rising of the Phoenix and how they they went from nobody to somebody, or there's the story of redemption, right? That's like what our Rocket League team is kind of living right now is like, hey, last year we fell one game short of getting into the RLCS, and it's like now we're coming back and we're trying to get it again. So it's like, those kind of things are really what excites me is like, how can I get players locally to tell a story? And you don't see our three players right now because they're not local, right? So like that's something we're trying to fix so that we can create more stories and show you their behind the scenes so you can be involved with that story.
That would be awesome from a fan perspective, being able to actually meet the players of, the teams that you support, like Charlotte Phoenix. Huge supporter of the team, and that'd be awesome to actually sit down and meet them.
Well, this is a good opportunity to talk about something happening this weekend, CJ.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you hit on it. I think it's really cool. I wish it was open to everyone, but we are hosting a $5,000 Rocket League tournament this weekend. It's mostly college teams. There's 28 college teams, and I think 4 local teams, and one high school team actually.
That's
But
huge. That's
yeah.
actually massive.
Wait,
that
we have
should
I didn't know we had a high school team.
that
Yeah,
you
it's
should
a
almost
local.
have Axeltoss and Lawler there to help you out.
I would love it if you guys could come out. I wish I kind of knew who you guys had pegged you a little bit sooner. We've been planning it for about 3 months now.
Next time.
And yeah. We're working 3 other ones after this, so there's gonna be one every quarter this year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Is that news? That sounds like news to me.
Yeah, and they're probably going to be bigger in price pool, and I'd actually like to layer them. So I'm hoping by Q4 this year, I'm running like a Rocket League.
Whoa.
I'm hoping High Res comes out with Rogue Company by that time, and then Project A, I'd like to be able to run at
Whoa,
that.
we're
And then
live on
maybe.
stream. We're live on stream.
No. I mean,
Axel, shut up.
yeah, and I think we're gonna be in a position at that point to be able to do that stuff. And
Wow.
honestly, like it's not a secret. Like I honestly I need community support to be able to do it. The fans have to come behind and be able to justify to be able to bring the numbers out so that I can get the right people to be able to fund the event. So it's like in some ways I need them to know and get excited about it.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be marketed. Like the
Yeah.
number one thing about it is like if you don't promote it, you aren't vocal about it. Like, how are people supposed to even know to come and support it, right? So
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what this first one is totally a marketing campaign for us at the end of the day. So
But I mean, there's only so much you can do. See, like you have to run the team, but you gotta wait. You gotta leave the support for the people like myself or Legend Star or everybody who supports the team to come out there and just spread that word for you, because like I said, you're only tied down to so much stuff you can do in one day.
Well, and another point there that I think is really relevant is like, and Lawler will tell you it like Lawler's favorite event he's going to tell you is RLCS something or other. There's something about these live events that are just wonderful, right? And it's like,
wait, which in favorite in what aspect? Like,
I know
talent,
it's a tough question, but we all know
talent.
we
It's
all
E-League, bro. It's talent.
Whoa,
It's E-League,
okay, that's fair. But like nothing beats London from a like just an overall probably experience as a commentator.
The first one, man.
Maybe that, yeah, I agree. But the point is, like, there was a time in esports where there were no events, and that's one of the things that really is the fire and foundation beneath everything. Is just how amazing it is to get together with people you have a lot in common with to enjoy something, and it has to be a part of any strategy for any city to have something like that in place, to just provide an opportunity, just provide a venue or provide an opportunity for people to come together. Because I have no doubts that, clearly with the success we've seen in esports around the world, like there's no doubts that it's successful and that people are into it. So it's like the next big step might be, okay, and especially for me, right? As a kid growing up playing video games, I got my computer, figure it out to stream something or other. The first time that I actually got to go and hang out with people that I knew was like the coolest thing ever. So that is just something that is just waiting to be tapped into for like a city team or something. It's just like provide that opportunity, provide that space for people to come out. It's a simple thing. Just provide that.
Coupled even more, man. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's coupled even more with the fact that like gaming has always been a place for people that are the ones with the quietest voice, right? Like it's a place that people who are, nerdy or bullied or whatever growing up, and that's definitely changed in the past 5 years since I've started, doing like public speaking and stuff.
Sure.
The clicks are not the same.
That's interesting
like,
in and of itself, yeah.
But like the fact that it is a place that people that are usually sheltered or kept to themselves or introverted or whatever, and they find salvation in that, and now they're able to go and experience the in person. We're the cool crowd now. We're the, I'm with thousands of like-minded people, like you're saying. Like the social aspect is even more further exemplified. The fact now that you can, and everything is online. You have the ability to create that social aspect, but then translate it into in person as well. I think that's how you get those lifers that you're talking about. People like myself who grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where I will be a Packers fan until I die, no matter what. But that's happening across the world now, but with the esports side of it too, which is super cool.
Des caught it.
I'm gonna jump in here for a second. Like I met CJ actually at a LAN event back in was it October? For the local one of the university.
Yeah,
of North
we
Carolina,
ran a
Charlotte.
$5,000 Call of Duty tournament. Yeah.
And then, well, that was just like a couple.
Oh, the
weeks ago.
UNCC event.
The
Sorry.
UNCC event.
Yeah.
That was the first time I actually met CJ, but I've actually known Slade for a while now. We played like Apex Legends together and whatnot. So, but like actually finally getting out and meeting more of the, I don't know how to say it, but
people like you, just other fans.
Get out there and meet more people, and like actually. Legend and I actually attended our first official like bring our computers with us LAN event. We actually went back in I think February, the beginning of February or beginning of January or something like that. And that was awesome because, we got to sit down and see the local scene of, the area. And that helps kind of like open your eyes to holy crap, there's so much to this and so much more to be had from esports and gaming.
It's CJ. Can you speak towards that a little bit? I guess what we're talking about there, just the importance. The first of all, the cool factor of just meeting up with people. I mean, like it would have been cool if we had been able to hang out at PAX, for example. Like that would have been super cool, and it probably happened at some point. But can you speak towards that, and I guess how that fits, how that aligns with the vision of Charlotte, the Charlotte Phoenix?
Yeah. So what we found really recently was that there's like a million different people in the city that are trying to do the same thing that we're doing, and it's not like something that we shy away from or are scared of or whatever. We actually take the opposite approach, and where we want to bring everybody in the same room together so that we can create a collective event so that all of us can kind of work together, because I think there's so many people that are still kind of against esports and don't really understand it and need to be educated, and those conversations take so much time. I mean, I spent a year working with a guy before he's kind of started his own esports company and started doing his own stuff. And he's kind of a wealthy guy, didn't really get it, but he understood that he could make money with it in different ways. And I think that that's okay. But we're trying to collectively bring the groups together because there's like 10 of them. And we want to say, hey, let's all come together. Let's make this specific event, or let's create this, this board where we bring big events to the city of Charlotte, whether it's like an ESL event or an Activision Blizzard event or whatever. Because at the end of the day, we're just a community of gamers and we just want to be together. We want to play our games together and we want to be able to interact with each other because that's what we're passionate about. And I think that's one of our major goals right now is to bring fans together, to bring players together, to bring parents together and families together using gaming as an avenue.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
It's,
And
I just want to play video games, man. That's all it
yeah,
comes
dude.
down to.
That's right, dude. Me too. I'm with you. I haven't gamed in
doesn't
like
love
2
playing
months. I
video
want to
Dude,
play so bad.
and I gotta say,
The only
this
reason I'm awake right now is because I haven't gamed all week due to being at PAX. So I'm
I
grinding
know,
out math
dude.
right now.
We got
Like, that's all I'm
some. We
doing.
got some catching up to do. Dude, this has been one of the best micro podcasts ever. Just want to say that. But I don't want to keep you guys too late. I guess Adam, anything else you want to say or any questions, or the floor is yours. And then CJ, also any final words.
No, I'm just telling you, right. Same thing for you guys. I mean, if you guys have questions for us too, like obviously, Alex, you've been in the scene for like not even just Rocket League, but like esports in general. Like you started so long ago.
Yep.
Like you've been blessed to work with some very notable figures. Myself
Yeah.
included.
I mean, all I can do.
I got very lucky with
Totally,
my
dude. I mean,
introduction and
all I can do really is try to speak on my experiences as much as I can, because I've had some really cool experiences and I've met some of the coolest people. So I just kind of think about that and why I love it so much, why I love all my friends. Like, my favorite moments are just hanging out after shows with people I haven't seen in a while who I'm super connected with just because of what we do. So I try to.
which is super bad. Like every time we talk about like our favorite events, we don't talk about the event itself. We talk
I
about like
know.
getting to hang out and just
That's
like
what it is, man. But that's what we're talking about. Like, just literally coming together with other people who are into it. Like, that's how cool it is. It's like almost another reason to just make it out to an event. If you're near North Carolina, if you're
God, I want
near,
Dallas to be now, man.
yeah, if you're near Charlotte, if you're near this event this weekend, go to it. And I think I saw a few people who were in the area who were like, oh yeah, I might check that out. It's like, do it. And it's so great
Yep.
to hear that as a focus from a team org like Charlotte Phoenix. Like, and I feel like a lot of teams are working on that. So I'm excited to see how the future unfolds there. And yeah, CJ, anything else you want to talk about? We can call it soon here, but this has been very enjoyable.
Yeah, I'll leave you with just like the highlights of this Rocket League event. So, I mean, we have some of the biggest colleges. UCF has been winning a bunch. LSU is coming. Akon is also going to be there. So, like, we have a lot of the top college teams that are competing in the CRL that are just kind of showing up to a one-off LAN, which I think it'll be really excited to see some of those matches. And then we're also running a Call of Duty 2v2, a Super Smash Brothers solo, Mario Kart, Super Mario Kart 8, which I don't know if you guys knew this. You can land that together and race 8 players in the same lobby, which is like
Yep.
so much fun. It's just a blast. And then we're gonna do Madden as well. So we have other events that maybe you're a Rocket League player, or maybe you're a COD player or something like that. And you just want to show up, watch some matches and play in some games. Just going to be a good time. We also have a bunch of food trucks out there and a bunch of free food. The venue's free to get in. The food is free. The drinks are free. We've made it so like the barrier to entry is so easy because we just want people to learn about esports. We want them to show up and just be able to support the scene. So, if you're in the area or maybe you're like an hour drive away, you should definitely come show up. I want to talk to you and shake your hand and tell me about your esport dreams, man. Like I started, I was just a bad Call of Duty player and I joined the army and they were like, hey, we're starting an army esports program. And I got involved with it. And then I kind of just ran with it and made my own business ever since then. And I'm not special. There's nothing special about me. I just try really, really hard. And I know there's people that are just as passionate as I am that can do some amazing things. They just have to be willing to take that leap of faith, whether it's to leave their job or to, chase that business or whatever they want to do in order to make themselves successful. So keep chasing that dream and come out this weekend and come talk to me.
I love it.
Well said.
I love it. People go. Great. That's great stuff. Hey, thanks for your time. Thanks for sharing all that. Hopefully we cross paths soon.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and fly out to Dallas, so that I can go to the Rocket League stuff. I live in Denton. I grew up in Denton, so I know the area pretty well.
Cool. I grew up in Richardson.
Oh, dope. Okay, yeah.
That's sweet. Okay, well, everyone stay healthy. But yeah, let's make Dallas happen.
Don't travel too much.
Yeah, everyone stay healthy. Wash your hands. Adam, thanks for your time too, man. I know you're a busy guy. Anything else you wanted to say before we sign off here?
I know I literally just saw you, but I still miss you already.
I know, dude. We'll hang out. We'll hang out again. What a week we had. I just want to say
It was a good week, man.
Some events are just brutal and grueling, but they're also so fun when you really get to hang out afterward.
Axel, man, this was awesome to watch. Like, I was here at the beginning. I was just, this is so great to watch.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Different type of casting experience to a type of tournament. It was neat.
Appreciate the kind words and appreciate all you guys hanging out. I'm gonna hop out of this channel. Feel free to do what you guys want to do, but see you next week at the latest here at
We're gonna keep
here on
the
the
win
stream.
streak up, man. We're gonna run
I know Charlotte Phoenix,
running more.
craziness.
You got to get like the NRGs of the world to show up, man.
I know. Look
5
out.
more games. We have 5 more games.
They might be a
Five a
little.
week.
They might be a little scared at this point.
I doubt it.
We'll see if we. It's my job. It's my job now to find someone so it's not boring for you guys.
But you know who will do it is the Pittsburgh Knights, man.
Yeah, they've expressed interest. It just hasn't worked out yet for them. So look out.
Yeah.
That would be cool though. Pittsburgh against Charlotte. Why not?
It hasn't happened on stream yet, and I really am excited for it because I think that you could build up the hype around it a little bit. So
Okay, I might look very closely at that. That's a good thought. I like it. Hey, and best of luck with your event this weekend. That just sounds awesome, dude. It feels like
Thanks,
you're
man.
doing a lot of the right things. So, hold me and Lawler, hold us back because we would be down there helping out if we weren't far away.
Honestly, yeah, man.
no, I wanna talk to you guys both about the next one and see if we can get you guys involved.
Definitely.
Anything we can do. I mean,
We
good.
both
Alex, I don't know how much
we
you're trying to
yeah
trying to shove collegiate stuff, but I know that's our big focus here in the area. Is just trying to get some sort of scene developed.
Yeah, they're there. They just need to be pushed out of their homes.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of work to do, but it's good work and it's fun. It's fun work. All right.
All right,
Well,
guys, good
hey,
night.
yeah. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Good
night.
talking, boys.
Yeah.
too.
See ya.
Sure.
Cool. That was pretty awesome. Didn't really expect much of that at all, but that's kind of what it's like here at the Ting Open on twitch.tv/Axeltoss. I kind of just do whatever I want, and if people show up and want to hang out, we're gonna do it. So I'm really glad that those fine gentlemen took the time to hang out, and what a cool night it's been. We made some history here. We had a team not lose. So we called it after 5 straight wins, 5 straight match wins. The Charlotte Phoenix, it has been their story this entire way through this evening. And they will be our first team up to bat next Wednesday. I'm going to throw up the schedule one more time. And I'm probably going to call it there. So I'll turn the webcam off here. And I'm going to put some music on, and I'll probably try to find someone to host. But here is the schedule for the tournaments that are happening here on twitch.tv/Axeltoss. Next week, same time, looking at continuing the Ting of the Hill. And the Charlotte Phoenix will be the defending champions there. So we'll see if they can keep their lead going. And then we're going to do it again the following week, March 18th, same time. So looking at each Wednesday. I guess there is a little bit of flexibility if something crazy pops up that needs to be adjusted for either the players or for me. And then finally, and I really want to emphasize this, Sunday, March 22nd. This thing means a lot to me. This whole thing means a lot to me, but what means the most to me might be what's happening on March 22nd. It's kind of relevant to what we were talking about in that conversation we just had. I'm going to a city. I believe in local cities and local efforts, so I want to try to get more locals out and involved with the cool things that are happening. So I'm going to actually broadcast that from a venue in Vancouver, British Columbia. So that's happening March 22nd. Signups are open to anyone. I'm just going to broadcast it from a venue and encourage locals to come out to the venue and play as well and hang out. So again, to sign up for that, smash.gg/ting. Smash.gg. Everyone knows Smash. Smash.gg/ting. If you just go to Smash.gg, you'll find it. Smash.gg/ting. Sign up. I feel like anyone, any level, can play and should play. Hopefully, you will play. It doesn't matter what rank you are. The idea is to just create a different environment for competing and allow people to have fun competing in a different environment, and also do it in a city and have a venue so that locals can come out and hang out if they want. So that's all happening March 22nd. And it'll all be on twitch.tv/Axeltoss. Okay, that's it. That's all I got for now. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Thanks for signing up. Thanks for tuning in. I'm going to play some music and leave the schedule up. And I'll see you guys next week. Congratulations to the Charlotte Phoenix.